Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. And welcome to Stephen King's Saturday Night. Let me change this. So this is a double thing where it's the Stephen King Saturday Night, something for me to put up on a Saturday night, but it's also number 24 in my Pick the Poison challenge, which I pulled out Stephen King. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that originally my pick for this was going to be The Shawshank Redemption. However, this movie is very long, and I don't really have time to sit down and watch it. I've been busy this week. I was going to do it yesterday, right? But had a very stressful week, and I just needed yesterday, Wednesday, so you know what yesterday was, to just rest and relax and watch other things besides, I didn't record at all. So, because of that, I chose something that I could watch. It was not only shorter, but that I could also watch while I was at work in the van and stuff like that. So we got Sometimes They Come Back, which is on YouTube, but it's also on Tubi, and I didn't know that. But it's on YouTube and Tubi. But Sometimes Come Back tells the story of Jim Norman, who comes back to his hometown to teach high school students, and he is troubled by bad memories of something that happened when he was a kid, and soon his brother was murdered by these bullies, and the bullies died, and now the bullies are coming back for revenge for some reason we don't know. At first, and so now he's being tortured by these bullies, and let's find a way to stop them. So, sorry. First and foremost, I want to say, so I've been looking up information. This was originally supposed to be a segment in the Cat's Eye anthology film, but they decided, Dino De Laurentiis, who produced this, and Cat's Eye, decided it should be its own movie. So we have this now taking place in 1991, and I believe there is a difference in what year this takes place, because according to one video I watched, they said it was 1957 when the events of the bullies and everything happened, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem that math would add up. And I grabbed a calculator and I did it, and that would equal out to 1984, because this has a lot of it stuff. You have the 1960s in this one. In the 1960s, you got greasers, you got greaser bullies, you got someone dying, and you have 27 years later this takes place. So yeah, and this came out a year after the Stephen King It miniseries. So, very lucky people were. I think that explains why this was so lackluster. There was no, nothing for it. Like, people were saying that the cast wasn't good. It is a good cast, and it just didn't generate a lot of anything. I think the problem was that it came out a year earlier, and so then they watched this, and it's very similar to it, and then it's not as good as it. So, but I think there are some good performances in this. We have a good cast too. We got Tim Matheson playing Jimmy Norman, who you may know from Animal House or Drop Dead Fred, which it seems like he came from, because he has the same haircut here. It's also, most recently on my channel, he was in the movie, the Very Brady sequel as the villain. He plays the protagonist here, he's just a teacher, just trying live his life. He goes back to his hometown, and they don't. For some reason, they don't really explain. No one has lived in his house since his parents left, and they don't really explain it. Am I to believe the ghosts are haunting that place and they just can't sell it? I don't know. It's just never explained. Yeah. There are his wife is one of the main characters from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. She's the one who, when the guy stupidly leaves her at the end, he comes back and she's turned. You know, she disappeared or something. I don't know. She's in that, and the kid is the "Fuck You, Lucky Charms" kid from Leprechaun. So that's pretty cool. And then you have the main bully here, Richard Landon. That is Grady from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. He was also in Weird Science and had a bra on his head with Robert Downey Jr. So, yeah. Decent cast, I think. There are a few. There's a. I don't know if it's a plot hole or if it's just never resolved. This thing, but we'll get to it. I'm gonna go through the movie now. So they return back to this place. It's in Connecticut, not Maine. I know, shocking for Stephen King. But Jim begins teaching, and through flashbacks, we see what happened is that when he was a kid, he and his brother went to go to the library, and for some reason they went through a train tunnel because it's faster, and the bullies showed up. Now, these bullies look like they're 30 freaking years old. All the teenagers do. But Robert Lusler, who plays, Grady, who plays Richard, he looks like he's like 35. Like, he's in his mid-30s. I don't know, he just looks so old. I don't know. Maybe he's younger than that. I don't know, but he looks like he's at least 30. But, they got to fight. And at first I was scratching my head. I'm like, okay, why are these bullies so much older than the other ones? Like, they're kids, and these are supposed to be high school students. And I think the reason why is so when they come back as evil spirits or whatever, they're threatening, because little kids coming back aren't threatening. I mean, it could be creepy, but... So they get into a scuffle, and the, bullies, they kill the older brother, Wayne, and he's like, "Run, Jimmy, run." Train comes, killing everyone else, because they can't get their car off, for a reason we find out later, and Jimmy and the other bully, Mueller, are the only survivors, because Mueller runs off, and Jimmy's able to get out in time. They die. So now, the bullies come back, one by one. There's this kid, I forget his name. Is it Billy, I think? So he's teaching, the kids don't have respect for him, because you gotta have that trope in there, they don't have respect for him. Although he's teaching, and he has anger issues. And that's one of the things that isn't really tied up, is you got anger issues. That doesn't really go anywhere. They keep saying, "Jim, you gotta watch your anger, you gotta watch your anger." I don't think that goes anywhere. Was that a reason why they moved? I don't know. Like, it doesn't have... I thought maybe it had something to do with the past, like the anger and everything. And when we find the twist as to why they're coming after him specifically, like why they're after revenge, when it didn't really make sense why they want revenge. They got what they deserved, in my opinion. But we find out later it doesn't really tie into his anger. I don't know. But there's this kid, Billy, leaves his wallet behind. He starts to go after him to give it to him, and he sees the car that was the bully's car chasing him. No one else but him and Billy can see it, and it runs Billy off the road, right off a bridge, to his death. And the next day, Richard shows up in his class. Richard Lawson. Not to be confused with Richard Dawson from Family Feud, but Richard Lawson shows up, And he's like, oh, he's a new student. And he starts acting, evil. And then, of course, they think that, the only thing that people saw was you chasing the kid. I'm like, that's going to play into something. Sort of. Kind of. And then that night, he goes out for a walk because he can't sleep, and he bumps into another one of his students who has bought a pack of smokes, and she's going to hide somewhere. And he leaves, but he has a vision of something going to happen to her, and the next day, she's not in class. And they find her hung, not hanged. It sounds wrong. Hung. Later, he sees in like his visions or dreams or whatever where it is, and that makes him a suspect. Like, oh, how did you know where she was? How you know it's not a suicide? Because he keeps saying, well, these are suicides. Yeah, that kid just drove his bike off the freaking. But then Vinny, another one of the bullies, shows up the next day. So it seems every time they kill someone, they take a life, they can bring one of them back. It comes and be important later. Next is the jock who comes to visit him and talk to him, but he takes off and he tries to talk to him, but the bullies show up and take him and end up killing him. And then the third bully comes back. The third bully's already there, and there's no real thing back to school. We don't go back to school, but then Jim gets arrested because they think he's a murder suspect, and then they think he did it, and he eventually is able to get out, but he remembers the cop that saw him walking and tries to contact him. He's at old folks home, and the cop tells him that he had an incident or something where he was nearly dead for like 3 minutes, I think, and so he knows about the afterlife, I guess, and he says that every time they take a life, another life, they can bring one of them back. We also find out that they can mutate, although we only see Lawson change it first until the other two at the end. But yeah, and so they tell him, you gotta go get Mueller. He's connected to this too. We gotta have everybody, he says. So he goes to Mueller. Mueller wants nothing to do with him. He thinks he's crazy. And then the greasers show up at the house, and they kidnap Jimmy's wife and son. Or no, they try to attack them, but Jimmy's able to fend them off. But he has them at the church where they get them, and they kidnap them there. So of course they end up at the. So this is where we get the twist as to why they're after him, because he goes back to his old house where Mueller is there too for some reason, and he grabs the car keys. Apparently, what happened was when he went to run, he grabbed the car keys so they couldn't drive away. He killed them, and like I said, they deserve it. I'm sorry, but they do. They deserved it. Come haunt me, Lawson. Laugh at me. Have your buddy laugh. Drive me nuts. I don't care. They deserved it. Okay? I'm just saying. They deserved it. Killing someone like that. Killing a kid. Come on. Come on now. Deserved it. But anyway, what happened is that everything comes to fruition. He goes to Wayne's grave to talk to him, but Wayne can't cross over again because, the stipulation for that. So everything culminates back at the tunnel where they plan to reenact everything, but he plans on killing them all. Lawson plans on killing them all. But Mueller turns on him, and he ends up killing Mueller because Mueller figured it out. He's like, every time they take a life, you can bring someone back, right? So he sacrificed himself so that Wayne could shut the fuck up. so Wayne could come back. And he comes back as a kid, of course, because he come back the way you were. And he doesn't really do much of help, but eventually a ghost train comes in and takes out the ghosts. They're still not able to. He gives them the key this time, but it doesn't help. So who knows if they'd even be able to get out anyway. And yeah, ghost train comes and then they have this talk. Come with me, Jimmy. I have a family now. They need me. He doesn't understand it first. You know, he's talking about you got to go back earlier, but he goes, I don't want to go back. You got to go back. Our parents are up there, so that's a little downer. His parents are dead, I guess, both of them. But yeah, and then it ends with them walking. But there is one important plot point that they did not wrap up. He's still a murder suspect, right? He's still a murder suspect. I mean, I know they could probably wrangle it to say, oh, they were all suicides. I don't know how the jock would work with that, but I don't know. But I like this. I know there are 2 sequels, and I was reading up on the sequel. The second one seems like it's sort of a rehash for this one, with a few changes. And the third one, I started reading the description of that one, and I was lost. I'm like, how does this have anything to do with this concept at all? I don't know. Eventually I'll get to those. But yeah, this was, I would say it's pretty good. I thought the acting was really solid. They had some good performances in this. It's a TV movie, so it was kind of a low, and it was a TV feel to it. I was like, this is, because it's on DVD and so I'm like, this is a regular movie, right? I mean, everywhere I look it says R, but this is a TV movie. Then again, Dukes of Hazzard, the beginning, premiered on TV, and that thing was unrated, so I don't know. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, this is still part of the series, so we're gonna pick the next one. We're getting down to the nitty gritty with these. All right. So what's the next one gonna be? Comedy. Okay. And I already know what that one's going to be. Alright. So, what are your thoughts on Sometimes They Come Back? When it comes along, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.